And so your colonies declared independence in the time of King George III?
That's right.
No American Revolution, no Continental Congress. Instead, they have a country named Atlanta, after the ocean, and is part of the British Commonwealth, but the river is still the Mississippi. Was it the same King George that we had?
It would seem so. Perhaps this is where our worlds diverged.
Oops.
That depends. Have you ever heard of Shakespeare?
What's that? Okay, then, your world is a lot different from ours. Once he heard that Nathaniel and the others might actually believe his story, Bradley was eager to help. He doesn't even seem to hold a grudge for being locked up overnight. Of course, Nathaniel is not returning Bradley's weapon. I don't know what happened to it. They didn't tell me, which is reasonable. What would you recommend as a good world history text? It would be interesting to see what else.
Don't get distracted, Janet. If this is another world, learning its history won't solve our problems.
Which are?
How did we get here? What happened to the other people who disappeared? And how do we get home?
All very good questions.
You.
Please, we should not be enemies.
Perhaps not. However, I should inform you that the entrance to my laboratory is locked and trapped with a variety of interesting measures. Therefore, if you are here to engage in industrial espionage, you would be advised to reconsider, unless you enjoy excruciating pain. In which case, we might be able to devise something more entertaining to do together.
You freak. Is this all part of some scheme of yours after all? You may fool them, but you don't fool me.
Bradley, stop it. We need his help.
He doesn't want to help us.
On the contrary, if you have discovered a method of extra-universal travel, I am eager to learn about it.
Where is Albin?
He still believes that these two are either deranged or unfriendly agents, or both.
But you've changed your mind.
That's my prerogative.
Okay, so what do we know? We've jumped from our world into yours, and this has probably happened to people before. Bradley, you said people were disappearing every 5 years, and the first one was 25 years ago, right?
The first one I could find in the papers. Not every missing person gets news coverage, and it's not always easy to know where someone disappeared from. There could be more.
Of course. Why would anything be simple? But did they all come here?
Susan said that she saw a large house with lights in the windows, but that's not much of a description. I thought it was this house, but I can't be sure.
Susan was your sister?
Susan is my sister. She's out there. Somewhere.
Well, what does she look like? In case someone saw her here.
Taller than you. About 5'9". Brown hair down past her shoulders with bright purple streaks. Hazel eyes. She had 3 piercings in one ear, one in the other. The night she went out 5 years ago, she was in a little black dress and a red leather jacket, and her old blue backpack. She'd been out to a party. She was coming back. Her car broke down. She went to the house for help. She was only 20. I'm sorry. If someone like that had knocked on our door, I think I would remember.
I didn't live in this province 5 years ago, and neither did Raphael. You might ask Albin. A girl like that, if she'd come to this city, could have ended up running with his friends.
What do you mean, a girl like that?
Now, don't rush to judgment. I have very fond memories of that kind of girl.
You slimy son of a... Quiet!
Bradley, he always talks like that. Don't rise to it.
Linz, please remember that this young man does not know if his sister is alive or well. Please, be gentle with him.
My point was only that she sounds like a young woman who prefers entertainment to study.
Oh... It doesn't matter anyway. Susan was going to the house that she saw. If she was never here, if she was thrown into some other universe, there's always hope. She could have arrived at a time when I was away from home. When Linz's experiment is complete and the force field gone, we can contact...
Linz glares at Nathaniel, but I'm distracted as the weight of the matter suddenly settles on my shoulders. We're in another universe. Different history, different science, different people. When that force field goes away, we'll still be in another universe. We're not trapped for 3 days. We're trapped forever. My head spins. Linz is speaking, but I can't hear him. Oddly enough, it's his presence that gives me focus. The last time I panicked, he knocked me out. I don't want him to do it again. I have to think positively. Wait, someone's talking to me.
Janet, are you alright?
I'm okay. I'm just thinking about our problems, like you said. Whoops. Your sister has never been able to get home, right? Even if we find her, what do we do then? If we're trapped here, how do we live? My school doesn't exist in this universe. How do I get my degree?
Perhaps I could help. We'll find a way out. I got here, didn't I? When everyone said it was impossible. And I didn't even know where I was trying to get to.
And now you'll have someone intelligent assisting you.
Bradley glares, but this time he is able to resist Linz's taunting.
However, for the next 3 days, our focus is still here. The procedure must be completed.
But some of us enjoy multitasking.
We can't afford to lose you to another universe.
Naturally.
Nathaniel closes his eyes and takes a deep breath.
Bradley, Janet, you are my guests, and I will do what I can for you, so long as you are respectful to the other members of the house. Please stay out of the basement, and don't disturb Linz when he needs to work. Please respect the privacy of others.
I understand.
Yeah, whatever. I expect you'll be able to find many interesting books here now that you know where you are. So, if you'll excuse us.
With a polite nod, Nathaniel exits and Linz goes with him. Just our luck that we ended up in a universe of force fields and mad scientists, huh?
Could be worse. Could be dragons. No, really. A rich guy offering us a place to stay while we search, and a crazy scientist helping us get back. That's about the best I could hope for.
So you don't think there are serial killers or ghosts anymore?
I don't know anything for certain, but this explanation makes more sense. The simplest explanation is usually true, right?
The simplest explanation is that this is all one crazy dream.
You don't really think that, do you?
Well, you might have slipped something funny into my food at dinner that night, but probably not. We're standing there smiling at each other and thinking about what a wild, mixed-up world it is, and therefore we don't even hear someone else enter the room. Uh-oh. I said uh-oh. Really? I click, doesn't go, I click, it double clicks.
Don't think you're getting off that easy. Nathaniel's soft, wants to think everybody's all nicey nice. But I'm not. You're a coward and a liar and a maniac, and I'm not going to forgive what you've done. What about you? You've been hassling us ever since we got here. You punched me in the face. You tried to kill me. If I tried to kill you, you'd be dead.
They look like they're about to come to blows. What should Janet do? Get the only sensible person in the house. I rush out into the main entrance, but nobody's here. Where did they go? Nathaniel! Everybody listens to Nathaniel. He can stop this. In a moment, I hear footsteps.
Janet, what is it?
Albin and Bradley. Nathaniel gathers his robes around him and heads into the library.
Bradley's attacking people again?
No. Albin came in and tried to pick a fight. So, you heard about Bradley and I? Where we come from?
I heard, but I'm not sure I understand it.
Suddenly, Albin comes boiling out of the library.
Squealing rat.
He hustles past us and away. I'd better go check on them.
Just want to find my sister. I understand. But I'm afraid that Albin knows very few people who would point a gun at him if they did not intend to use it.
They look up as they notice my entrance. Are you alright?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't know what else to do. I didn't want anyone to get hurt. Hey!
Words can wound as well as violence. I don't like to see people fight. Alban and Bradley have promised to stay out of each other's way, so this should be the end to it.
I hope he's right. Those two seem destined to butt heads whenever their paths cross. Bradley started it with all his wild accusations, but Alban seems to be just as angry and just as irrational. Why is he so determined to hate Bradley? He's just an angry boy. Oh, hey, I think we're gonna get to the part where we're like, Nathaniel intrigues me the most. The door is closed, hiding the force field from my view. And now that I've had some time to think about it, I wonder what lies beyond. There's a whole new world out there. Are there trees like our trees? Are the squirrels gray, or red, or black? Traffic lights? Street signs? Airplanes? Everything could be foreign. There's 100,000 things I want to see. But as long as the barrier lasts, this mansion is my entire universe. Me and them. Of all the boys, it's Nathaniel that I feel most drawn to. We were strangers, and he took us in without hesitation. He's been nothing but kind to me, to everyone, and he doesn't do it to impress people or try to win some advantage in return. It's just the way he is. I've never really trusted the opposite sex. The little neighborhood boy I played with pushed me into the mud. Boys at school were loud, obnoxious troublemakers who ignored me until the chance came to humiliate me. Bradley was my first date, and that was a total failure. Not that I was expecting much. I didn't go out with him because I liked him or anything. Still, tricking me into a trap like this doesn't raise my opinion of men in general. I've never known a boy that I could trust with something as fragile as a flower. But with Nathaniel, I feel like I could tell him anything, share my every secret, and he would never hurt me. It makes me realize how lonely I've been, that I can ache at the thought of having someone to tell my dreams to. And he lives here, in his silk robes, in his grand mansion, like a storybook prince in a castle. I can imagine myself in a ball gown and slippers whirling around the dance floor with him as my partner. He would smile at me and every step would be certain. But there is something sad in Nathaniel's eyes, some burden that he cannot share. It's like my mother, the time when she was very ill and I was bringing her breakfast in bed. She sat up very straight and was completely calm and dignified. She didn't even complain about the paratas I'd burned. She just told me that she loved me. It wasn't until I was much older that I realized how much she'd been hiding from me, and how bad things could have been. In him I see that same wary grace, that same mask of perfection, and I don't know what lies behind it. I may trust him, but he does not trust me. He's always polite to me, but nothing more. I want something more. Oh no, it's gonna be so hard though. Oh, this is a difficult situation. Our most difficult challenge yet, mayhap. I find Raphael and Nathaniel together in the sitting room.
You don't owe me anything. I'm not the one...
He notices my entrance and trails off.
Perhaps not, but nothing obligates you to help me either. I want to help because I can. The question is, do you want me to? I don't know.
Hi. What's up?
Raphael and I are discussing the value of higher education.
Oh, you want to go to college?
I don't know. I was never very good at school.
Did you completely hate school, or were you just not at the top of your class?
I didn't hate it.
You don't have to be a genius to go to college. And just being smart isn't enough to get admission. Some schools are really selective, but others aren't. There are state schools that will take anyone who graduated high school. At least, I think there are in my world. I turned to appeal at Nathaniel.
I'm not certain. I never went to high school. I had private tutors.
Anyway, college is great. You'll make lots of friends, and it will help you get a better job later. If you're willing to work hard and study, you'll be fine. And if you go to a state school, it won't cost as much.
As much as what?
Well, the big private schools are really expensive. He shakes his head.
All accredited universities charge the same tuition fees. They're capped by the government in order to be affordable to the whole population.
How convenient. Where I come from, people pretty much have to start a trust fund when their kids are born to afford the major schools. Did I say something wrong?
No, it's not your fault. So, does that mean that anyone whose parents failed to plan ahead, or fell on hard times, can't study at university?
There's always the state schools, like I said.
Well, here at least the tuition fees are not too high to prevent me from helping a friend, or two, in need. If it's alright with you, then I'll do it. It's alright.
Cute. Wait, you're going to pay to send Raphael to school?
Why not?
No reason, I guess. A lot of people get touchy about accepting help from people, even if they need it. At least in my world, some people don't like taking charity.
But God expects us to perform charitable works. Refusing to accept them would mean that someone else was stopped from being able to give.
Don't ask me, I'm not religious.
Why not?
Nathaniel steps in to rescue me.
Faith is a personal matter. Of course, I don't mean to be rude. It's just that this world is so wonderful. I just want everyone to appreciate it. Look how it's brought us together. Isn't it amazing?
It's pretty amazing, alright.
Everything is for the best. You'll see.
Nathaniel clasps his hands briefly in front of him.
If Janet and Bradley decide to stay here as well, and you all attend the same school, Robert can drive all three of you to classes together. What? Stay here? Why ever not?
It startles me a little bit as well. I've only known Nathaniel for 2 days, and he wants me to live here? But not just me.
I have to stay with Linz.
He doesn't sound happy about that. Linz does not own you.
He needs me. He forgets to eat. He can't clean up after himself. He never gets a good night's sleep unless I tell him to.
What are you, his wife or his mother? Wait, are you his boyfriend? Lynn said you weren't, but...
No, he's never touched me.
That's slightly hard to believe, considering what a pervert Linz is and how ridiculously pretty Raphael is.
You said yourself how nice it was that we were all brought here together. If Bradley and Janet are trapped here, they will need friends who understand what's happened to them.
I wince, realizing what he's getting at. If I stay here, I can't very well go around telling everyone I meet that I'm from an alternate universe. I'd probably end up in a madhouse. Science seems to be a little different here, and a lot weirder. Maybe people would believe me. But in that case, I might end up locked up by the government for research.
There's room for all of you here. This house is far too large for me alone. But you're not alone. There's...
Nathaniel shakes his head abruptly, then sighs.
There is a spark of hope, and I will not let that spark go out. As long as I can. But everything ends eventually. I'm taking the chance, but I am not certain of the happy ending. Things happen, and you can't always control them. I have accepted the possibility of failure. You have to have faith. And you too, Janet. You will find a way home. You have to believe.
What is there for me to believe in? I don't know how I got here in the first place. Some interdimensional fluke that only pops up every few years and which no one has ever come back from. How can I possibly believe that we'll find a way? There's hope. There's always hope. But I have to accept the possibility that it will never be anything more than that. And you and Nathaniel maybe have that in common. With the tension in the house calmed for now and dinner uneventfully behind us, we're all hanging around together. It's a little like a slumber party, even though I haven't been to one of those since I turned 13.
The name of the game is I Never. When it's your turn, you must state something that you have never done.
Like, I've never ridden an elephant.
The idea is to pick something that you haven't done, but that you think the rest of us have. So probably no elephants.
Usually this is a drinking game, but if some of you don't care for alcohol, that's what the chocolate peanuts are for.
Each of us has a small bowl containing 6 chocolate-covered peanuts.
If you have done what the speaker never has, eat a peanut.
And if you're not sure it counts, it counts.
Whoever runs out first loses.
Which will probably be you.
Perhaps. However,
He holds up a finger in the air dramatically.
I have never cheated on a lover. I may have had more than one at the same time, but everyone involved was aware of the situation and the rules. That's not cheating.
Everyone was... What has Lynn's been up to? There's a moment of silence while everyone looks at each other. Finally, Albin shrugs and takes a peanut.
Albin. There was this girl. We went out a couple of times, nothing serious, and she got all crazy. She started telling people what I was going to do, like it was her decision without even asking me. She picked fights and then came running to me to protect her. So I made it very clear that I was not her property. In public. With her best friend.
How should Janet respond? Well, just let that one slide this time around. It's not really my business what he did to some girl in the past.
So I suppose it's my turn. Well, I have never snogged a man.
What is snogged? Albin and Lynn stare at me. Nathaniel covers a smile with his hand.
It's, you know, kissing. With tongues.
Oh. Oh! What a funny word. Well, then I've never done that either. With a grandiose wrist flourish, Lynn takes a peanut from his bowl. No one looks terribly surprised, although Bradley rolls his eyes a bit.
You next. Very well. I have never driven a motor vehicle.
Everyone else except Raphael reaches for a peanut. I don't have a car, but I took driver's ed, so that means me as well.
Why not? Some people find cars interesting in themselves, but I never did. If I need to go somewhere, I can get someone to drive me, usually. You've been quiet, Bradley. Your turn. I'm not sure what's safe to ask.
Safe?
Well, you're a...
He cuts off and shakes his head.
I've never worn makeup.
Well, that's me then. Lynn's, Albin, and Raphael reach for peanuts as well, but not Nathaniel. I suppose the rest of them have dressed up for Halloween. So, my turn. What should Janet say she's never done? Well, we know Nathaniel has not broken a bone, but he has kissed a lady, so we'll pick that one. I've never kissed a girl. On the lips. Quickly I open my eyes and look around to see the reaction. Albin said he'd had a girlfriend before, and Lynn's has obviously been there and done that, but... Every single one of them reaches out to take a peanut. Bradley? Raphael? You have a girlfriend?
It's not what you think. I was 8.
You were a very young romantic? I hope it's that and not something worse.
It was for play.
Phew.
We were doing Sleeping Beauty, but none of the boys in my class were good at acting.
So they made you play Prince Charming?
No, that's the biggest part. And the best person to play it was one of the girls. They made me play Sleeping Beauty.
Raphael is a pretty princess? I can just about see that.
So, that leaves me.
There is a long pause while his eyes flicker back and forth.
I have never...
We wait for it.
Worn pink socks.
Everyone stares at him.
What? I haven't.
I'm not absolutely certain whether I have or not. I would never pick them out for myself, but my parents probably put me in something pink as a baby. I assume I'll be the only one, but as I take my peanut, I notice that someone else is as well. Bradley?
I'm not so good at doing laundry.
That's the end of the first round then. Linz and Albin are tied for last, with each having only 2 peanuts left. Albin and Linz exchange glances.
I have never spray painted my initials on the outer wall of a government building.
Albin takes a peanut.
I have never worn glasses.
Linz inclines his head and reaches for a candy. To my surprise, Nathaniel does as well. Do you have contacts?
No. When I was small, I used to borrow my father's reading glasses.
How cute! Linz and Albin are tied, each with 1 peanut remaining.
And so it falls to you to cast the deciding vote.
Perhaps. However, I have never drunk absinthe.
Bradley looks confused as Linz and Albin sigh in unison and then turn on him.
No one's done that. Your turn. I have never ridden a horse.
Neither have I. I don't hate horses, but I've never found them as exciting as some girls do. Nathaniel takes a peanut, no surprise. So does Raphael. And so does Albin, losing the game. I didn't think you were the horsey type.
It wasn't my idea.
He stands up abruptly, kicking over the empty peanut dish.
This is a stupid game anyway.
What a sore loser, but we won't call him out this time. He walks away and no one even comments on it. I guess he does that a lot. I think that's the end of our evening. It's Monday morning. And I ought to be in my dorm room, smelling Vanessa's hairspray and getting ready for class. Unlike some people, I don't leave my homework to the very last minute, so it wouldn't take long. Has she reported me missing by now? Have they called my parents? Are the police looking for Bradley? It's 1984 here. If whatever sent us here also sent us through time, then maybe when we get back it'll still be the day that we left, and we will never have been missing at all. Of course, Bradley's sister never came back. I stand up, yawn, and stretch. I slept through the night, but I don't feel completely rested. I blame the dream. I was in a dark forest at night, but not like the forest around here. This was more like a Louisiana swamp with wet ground and hanging moss swaying in the breeze. Every path looked alike. Everywhere I went, I couldn't find my way out. I couldn't tell if I were walking in circles or if the forest went on forever. Then up ahead in the distance, I saw a glimmer of light. I knew it was probably just a will-o'-the-wisp, so I ignored it, but it kept coming closer until it was a giant fireball rushing towards me. And then I woke up. Obviously, my subconscious feels trapped here. There are worse places to get stuck. It's a nice house, we have plenty of food, and the people are alright most of the time. But I want to go home. I want to be in my room with my books and my music and just relax and recharge. I want to feel centered. Here, I feel like I'm on stage and I can't get off, and the audience is watching my every move. We're not much more than strangers. What do they think of me, really? Am I annoying, or stupid, or weird? I've been trying to learn to be more social this year. I spent my weekends talking to people, going to parties, even this date. But when the weekend is over, it should be back to school, back to normal. If I had work to do, I'd feel better. Well, I can't just sit here and stare at these blank walls all day. I make my way to the kitchen to prepare my breakfast. I wonder if this time we'll make something different for dinner, now that we're on Nathaniel's route.
Good morning. Is there anything I can get for you?
No, I'm fine. You know, you shouldn't have to cook for everyone all the time.
Oh, I don't mind.
Still, it's not fair to make you do all the work. How about I make dinner for everyone tonight? I can do some good spicy Indian food.
I don't know if Nathaniel has the ingredients for that.
I'll improvise. That should keep me busy for a while today. I'm not a great cook, but I know a lot of ways to spice up vegetables and rice. But until then, I'm at loose ends.